Welcome back to Central New York's Open House. Today we return to downtown Utica in City Hall. We're visiting with the Mohawk Valley Water Authority. Joined with me now is Phil Tangora, the Director of Water Quality. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Jill. Today we're in the laboratory where the Water Quality Department is charged with monitoring the water that goes through everybody's taps and into their homes and businesses. One of the primary components of our laboratory is our microbiology section. We monitor from various points in the distribution system every day to make sure that the water that we're providing meets all standards for total coliform and E. coli, and that is that they have to be negative. Here, Cindy Klein, one of our lab technicians, is going to process some samples, and this is filtering them. They'll be incubated, and then we'll check them 24 hours later for any bacterial growth. There are several methods that the lab is certified to perform when doing BACT testing or microbiological testing. Here's an example of a positive bacteria sample. It has a yellow color that indicates that there's bacteria in the sample. This is from our raw source water before any treatment process. Over here next to this, we have a negative sample from the distribution system. This is what we want to see every day that's going through people's taps. The other method that we use is a filtration method. And again, here is a negative sample from the distribution system showing no bacterial growth. And we have a positive sample here from our raw source water prior to treatment that does indicate that there is some bacteria present in the raw source water. This is another portion of our laboratory. We do a lot of weekly chemistries here. It gives us an overall view of the general health or water quality in the distribution system. Here, Amita's doing a titration for chloride. And this, again, is done weekly. Also included in our weekly analysis are elements and contaminants such as iron, manganese, sulfates, pH, turbidity, color. And these can all be done, are generally titrated chemistries, which are done here at this station, or over here where our pH meter and our turbidimeter is.
So to the non-scientist, basically all that means is just making sure there's nothing bad in the drinking water.
Exactly, and that's what we want, and that's what we want the public to be aware of, what we're doing here. Another test that's performed at the laboratory is trihalomethane testing. When we were up at the treatment plant over the summer, we had talked about disinfection byproducts as an effect of chlorinating the system mixing with organics. We have the ability here to track our THMs or trihalomethanes throughout the distribution system to make sure that they remain below the regulatory limit.
So back to the non-scientist. That would be me. You put the chlorine in the water to clean it, and then the process of that mixing with organic material?
With organic material that is naturally present in
Leaves
the water.
Leaves and things like that.
Correct. So we remove what we can, but there is a portion of the organics that can't be removed. And when the chlorine combines with those organics, you get what's known as a disinfection byproduct.
Okay.
One of those is trihalomethane. Another portion of the laboratory is our automated chemistry section. Amita, our water quality analyst, has just set up a run here for phosphates, ammonia, nitrogen, nitrates, nitrites. So what happens here is this automated arm can go around and sip and sample bits of reagents and water, and we're looking for a color reaction to determine the concentration of any of these constituents within any water sample.
So did you say nitrate twice, or was it nitrate and nitrite? And are they different?
Nitrate and nitrite.
Okay.
They actually have two different MCLs, maximum contaminant levels. For nitrate, it's 10 parts per million, or 10 milligrams per liter. For nitrite, it's 1 part per million, or 1 milligram per liter. But each of those standards has to be met. So we have the ability to test for both of those using this one instrument. Continuing to another portion of the lab, Jill, is an analysis we call method 1623, which is for pathogens known as Giardia and Cryptosporidium. The idea here is to filter 10 liters of water and then process it through these extruders and move it through a multiple stage process onto a slide for analysis for those two pathogens. It's pretty labor intensive. We have two technicians that are dedicated to this portion. Paul and Donna here are analyzing some samples now.
And all this is for two bad guys, two pathogens.
Two pathogens, but ones that can cause some serious gastrointestinal illness.
Okay.
After we've removed the pathogens and put them in solution, they'll be concentrated down through a centrifuge till we have around 50 milliliters of sample. This is where Paul is taking over here. He's going to take these filters, rinse them off. It goes through a process known as immunomagnetic separation, and you can see this process over here. We add some antibodies that are tied to magnetic beads. They mix for about an hour, and the pathogens are bound by those antibodies to the magnets. We remove the magnetic beads, and then they are spotted on slides for analysis after staining in the microscope room. Jill, the final concentration step, or the final step of this process, once the organisms are spotted on the slides and stained, they're brought in here and read by a certified technician, and that would be either Paul or myself or Donna. And what we have on the screen here are stained Giardia on the left and Cryptosporidium on the right, and these would be what may be in a raw water sample. We're uniquely certified through Pennsylvania to do this testing, but that's by proxy of the EPA. So this allows us to test samples from other utilities from Virginia, Massachusetts, all over the state of New York, as well as Pennsylvania and Ohio too. We hold accreditations in all of those areas, and that allows us to offer our services and our expertise to other utilities throughout the United States.
I've said before when we met with the folks here at the Mohawk Valley Water Authority that there is so much more that goes into what they do. We at home or in our businesses just turn on that tap and drink the water, and we don't really think a whole lot about how it gets here. So this was a great tour. Thank you so much for showing us how you guys keep the water quality clean and deliver quality water to not only the Mohawk Valley but all over.
Oh, we're happy to show you around, and hopefully everybody watching this gets a little experience of what we do on a daily basis to ensure that safe water is delivered to your taps.